How to Falsify Evolution by Sean, VenomFangX from YouTube. Any theory that does not provide a method to falsify and validate its claims is a useless theory.
For example, if someone said a watermelon is blue on the inside but turns red when you cut it open, how could you prove them wrong? How could they prove they're right? You couldn't, and they can't. There is no available method to confirm or disprove what they said about the watermelon. Therefore, we can dismiss the theory of the blue interior of watermelons as pure speculation and guesswork, not science. You cannot say something is true without demonstrating how it is not false, and you cannot say something is not true without demonstrating how it is false. Any theory that cannot explain how to both validate and falsify its claims in this manner cannot be taken seriously. It is circular reasoning to be able to validate something without saying how to falsify it, or vice versa. This is the nature of verification and falsification. Both must be clearly demonstrated in order for a theory to be confirmed to be true or false. Something cannot be proven to be true without showing that it is not false, and something cannot be proven to be not true unless it can be proven to be false. Unfortunately, Darwin never properly demonstrated how to falsify his theory, which means evolution has not properly been proven, since it has never been demonstrated what the evidence does not suggest. In the event that evolution is not true, there should be a clear and defined method of reasoning to prove such by demonstrating through evidence that one could not possibly make any alternative conclusions based on said evidence. It is for this reason we must be extremely skeptical of how the evidence has been used to support evolution for lack of proper method of falsification, especially when the actual evidence directly contradicts the theory. If it can be demonstrated how to properly falsify evolution, regardless if evolution is true or not, only then can evolution ever be proven or disproved. It must be able to be demonstrated that if evolution were false, how to go about proving that, and while Darwin indeed made a few statements on this issue, his statements were not adequate or honest. That is to say, if the following falsification is valid and cannot show evolution to be false, then evolution theory would be proven true by way of deductive reasoning. That is the essence of falsification. If it can be shown that something is not false, it must therefore be true. This would confirm the accuracy of this falsification method, which all theories must have, and show that Darwin did not properly show how evolution could be falsified in the event that evolution was not true. In order to show evolution is not false, thereby proving it to be true, we must be able to show how it would be false if it were. Without being able to falsify evolution in this manner, you cannot validate it either. If something cannot be shown to be false, yet it is said to be true, this is circular reasoning, since you have no way of confirming this conclusion. Example, if we told a blind person our car is red, and they agreed we were telling the truth, the blind person could not tell another blind person accurate information regarding the true color of the car. While he has evidence that the car is red by way of personal testimony, he has no way of confirming if this is true or false, since he might have been lied to, regardless if he was or not. So, one must demonstrate a method to prove beyond any doubt that in the event that evolution is not true, it can be shown to be such. If evolution be true, and this method of falsification be valid, then by demonstrating the falsification method to be unable to disprove evolution, we would confirm evolution to be right. Alternatively, if the falsification method is valid and demonstrates that Darwin's validation method does not prove evolution, then evolution is false indeed. Firstly, the hypothesis. If evolution is incorrect, then it can be demonstrated to be so by using both living and dead plants and animals. The following is the way to do so and the logical alternative to the theory. The fossil record can be used as well, but not as evolution theory would have us believe. In order to properly falsify something, all biases must be removed. Since assuming something is correct without knowing how to prove it false is akin to the blind person who cannot confirm the color of someone's car. Since evolution has not correctly been shown how to be falsified, as will be demonstrated, we must be open to other possibilities by way of logic, and ultimately reject evolution by way of evidence, should the evidence lead us in such a direction. If evolution be not true, the only explanation for the appearance of varied life on the planet is intelligent design. This would predict that all life since the initial creation has been in a state of
entropy since their initial creation, which is the opposite of evolution. If this be true, then animals and plants are not increasing in genetic complexity or new traits as evolution theory would have us believe, but are in fact losing information. This would explain why humans no longer have room for their wisdom teeth, and why the human appendix is not essential anymore. The only objection to this claim that evolution theory would propose is that evolution does not always increase the genetic complexity and traits of an organism, but rather sometimes decreases them as well. This objection is only made because we have only ever actually observed entropy in living creatures, which suits the creation model far better than evolution, which shall be demonstrated. If the creation model is true, we can make verifiable predictions that disprove evolution. For example, the creation model states that life was created diversified to begin with distinct kinds of animals, by a supernatural creator that did not evolve himself but rather always existed. Without going into the debate on how such a being is possible to exist, it must be said that either everything came from nothing or something always existed. To those who say the universe always existed, the claim of this hypothesis is that the creator always existed, which is equally as viable for the previous logic. In order to demonstrate that the creator is responsible for life and created life diversified to begin with, the word kind must be defined. A kind is the original prototype of any ancestral line. That is to say, if God created 2 lions and 2 cheetahs, these are distinct kinds. In this scenario, these 2 cats do not share a common ancestor, as they were created separately, and therefore are not the same kind despite similar appearance and design. If this is the case, evolution theory is guilty of using homologous structures as evidence of common ancestry, and then using homologous structures to prove common ancestry. This is circular reasoning. The idea of kinds is in direct contrast to evolution theory, which says all cats share a common ancestor, which the creation model does not hold to be true. If evolution theory is true, the word kind is a superficial label that does not exist, because beyond our classifications, there would be no clear identifiable division among animals or plants, since all plants and animals would therefore share a common ancestor. The word kind can only be applied in the context of the creation model, but cannot be dismissed as impossible due to the evolutionary bias, simply because evolution has not been properly validated, nor can it be held to be true until it can correctly be shown to be impossible to falsify. One must look at the evidence without bias and conclude based on contemporary evidence, not speculation, if indeed evolution is the cause of the diversity of species or not. It must also be demonstrated if the clear and distinct species do or do not share a common ancestor with each other, regardless that they may appear to be of the same family or design. In order to verify this, all that needs to be done is to demonstrate that a lion and a cheetah do or do not have a common ancestor. If it can be demonstrated that any animal or plant within a family do not share a common ancestor with each other, this would disprove evolution immediately and prove supernatural creation of kinds. However, since lions and cheetahs are both clearly of the same family or design and can potentially interbreed, we must be careful not to overlook the possibility of a very recent common ancestor. If such is the case, this does not exclude the possibility that the 2 are originally from 2 separate kinds that do not share a common ancestor previous to them having one. It is therefore necessary to build an ancestral history based on verifiable evidence, not homologous structures in the fossil record, that can clearly demonstrate where exactly the cheetah and the lion had a common ancestor. If no such common ancestor can be found and confirmed without bias, and this test is performed between 2 or more of any plant or animal life without ever finding anything to the contrary, we can confirm with certainty evolution did not happen, and that kinds do exist. In the event that fossils are too elusive, compounded with the fact that they cannot be used as evidence of common descent due to circular reasoning, there is a superior and far more effective way to falsify evolution. Evolution states by addition of new traits, new organs, new anatomy, that the first life forms increased in complexity and size by introduction of new traits, slowly increasing step by step to more complex life forms. Notice that the addition of such traits cannot be attributed to the alteration of old ones, for obvious reasons, since detrimental or beneficial mutations are only alterations of already existing traits and cannot account for an increase in the number of traits any given life form possesses. That means bacteria becoming able to digest nylon is a mere mutation of already existing digestive capabilities and cannot be classified as an increase in traits. Evolution theory would predict that the process of gradual change and increase in traits is an ongoing process, and therefore should be observable in today's living animals and plants through new emerging traits that any given plant or animal did not possess in its ancestry. Those who say such changes take millions of years and cannot be observed today only say so because no such trait has ever been observed to emerge or be in the process of emerging in contemporary history, which is what the creation model predicts. If evolution theory be true, we would expect that at least one animal or one plant would contain a new trait or be in the process of growing such a trait over its known common ancestors. That is not simply a multiplication or alteration of a trait it already had. At this point, the fossil record cannot be used as evidence to prove that evolution can produce new traits, due to the fact that two animals that appear to be of the same family, while they do indeed exhibit distinct trait differences, may not have a common ancestor, but rather were created differently with all their different traits. It is therefore of paramount importance to show a single instance of such an increase of traits exists within a provable ancestry, and not assume anything concerning where the traits in the fossil record owe their origin. In conclusion, should any two animals or plants within a family be proven not to share a common ancestor, or if no provable increase of traits can be demonstrated to be in its beginnings or actively present in the animal and plants living today over their provable ancestry, then the Bible is correct when it says God created all the animals and plants as distinct kinds with their traits to begin with. This is the only way to falsify evolution, and it is amazing that Darwin never encouraged people to attempt to falsify his theory in this manner.
Goodbye to evolution.